My name is Jason, and this is Just Watches. All right, today I have my second watch that was very generously lent in from a friend of the channel, who will remain unnamed, but knows who they are. So this is a watch Timex actually doesn't produce anymore, but you might be able to find one if you hunt for it. I believe it's called the Timex Men's Heritage Collection, and the reference number is TW2P75000AB. So you can copy that from the description if you want to hunt for it. But I really wanted to check this out. This is a cool watch that Timex used to make. It's a slight homage to a design you are probably familiar with. But we will get into it. We're going to do pros, cons, and then if I think the watch is worth the money. Before we start, just a heads up that I checked. Now 5% of my views are from subscribers. I think that's up from 4% from last week. So thank you very much if you're subscribing. If you are watching this channel and you enjoy it and you haven't yet subscribed, I would love if you would do so. Thank you so much. All right, starting with the case, we have a 42 millimeter in diameter case, 49.5 millimeters lug to lug. It's about 12 millimeters thick, and you can see about a millimeter of that is that domed crystal. And then we have a 20 millimeter lug width here. The case is completely high polished. The bezel, the sides, and the top of the case are all high polish. There is a nice curve down on those lugs, which helps with the overall comfort when you are wearing it. But there's no mix of surfaces here, which is okay in this kind of style of watch and at this price point. Now, this is not the strap that comes with the watch. It comes on a bracelet, which I'll review momentarily, but this is a crown and buckle chevron. It's the adjustable single pass NATO, and I think it's a stunning combination with this watch. This is my first experience with one of these, and they're really nice. I'm going to probably add a couple more to the collection to kind of switch with watches, and maybe I'll do a review of the strap at that time. So here is the strap that comes with the watch. It's 20 millimeters throughout, so it starts at 20 millimeters, there's no taper, and remains 20 millimeters all the way through the clasp. It is high polish on the outer links of this 3-link style, and then brushed in the middle. Sizing is accomplished with just regular split pins. You do have a clasp here that is signed with Timex. It's brushed with 2 high polish buttons. It's double push to plant. You just have your kind of what you would expect with this price point. It's just a pressed metal clasp. One thing to note, there is no micro positions here, and I don't think there are half links. All the links are the same size, so it might be a little bit tricky to get the bracelet to fit you just right. And then of course you're dealing with, this is a pretty inexpensive watch, so the bracelet is going to be very jingly, noisy when you wear it, and then it just has hollow end links. Flipping the watch over, we see a pressed-in case back that helps to provide 5 atmospheres or 50 meters of water resistance. So not the best water resistance on this guy, but this isn't really the style of watch to have high water resistance. You can see some information here. Timex, the Waterbury since 1854. So Timex is actually, it started as the Waterbury Watch Company in 1854 and eventually evolved into what we know today as Timex. So kind of a cool callback to their history there. I'm not exactly sure which module is in here for the movement, but it does tell you that it takes a CR 2016 battery there. So I'm guessing it probably has about a 3-year battery life. And then the movement also features the date and has the Indiglo function, which is always fun to have on a Timex watch. As you can see, the crown, it's just a push-pull crown. It does not screw down. Is unsigned, but it does have some nice knurling. It's easy to operate. You can see it sits a little bit proud of the case, and that's because you can depress it to activate the Indiglo on this watch, which I'll show you in lower lighting conditions so you can see it. The watch features a domed acrylic crystal, and I really like that they used a dome here. I always like dome crystals on watches. Obviously, it adds to the overall height of the watch, but it's just really visually striking and adds a lot of character to the watch overall. So the dial is this interesting color. It's almost a deep brown, I would say, not really black, and it does play in certain lighting conditions. They do have Timex and the Waterbury at the 12 and 6 o'clock position, respectively. They did also put since 1854 and Indiglo original below the Waterbury. I could have lived without those 2 additional lines of text, but not a deal breaker in this case. For the indices, you have applied indices, and they're nicely framed, as you can see. Now, this watch isn't loomed, but it does use Indiglo. They did use the 3, 6, and 9 Arabic numerals to designate those locations, and then there's a triangle for the 12 o'clock, so orientation and time telling on this watch is very easy. It's highly legible. Now, this design is obviously an homage to a different watch that you probably are aware of, but I like how Timex executed it here. They did some of their own playful cues. You can see the hands. We do have a Mercedes hand for that hour hand, but they used a T for Timex on that hand. Then you have a nice long minute hand. I like that it goes all the way out to the dashes for the minute at the edge of the dial. And then the second hand has both a counterbalance and a lollipop about 2/3 of the way down, and it's plenty long. And you can see it has very good registration on this particular piece. It's hitting each of those dashes for the minutes very well. Rounding everything out, you do have the date at the 3 o'clock position. Now, I'm always a big fan of dates on watches, but I could see if they had dropped the date here that I think the dial would have been a little bit more symmetrical and nice overall. So cutting the lights here, and we will activate the Indiglo. As you can see, it makes it very easy to read. Indiglo is a great feature for nighttime viewing of the time. So here is the watch on my 6 3/4 inch wrist, 42 millimeter case diameter, but it actually doesn't seem to wear that big. I think I could actually pull this off. I would love it if it was a bit smaller, but you know, this is probably going to be a size that's going to work on almost any wrist with this watch. So there it is on that crown and buckle, single pass NATO. Very cool strap. I love it. I love the color pairing here, but let me put it on the bracelet so you can see what it would look like if you get it stock. And there it is on the bracelet. I can usually do one row of high polish, but the 2 high polish links is a little bit too much for me. So this would probably live on a different strap. And I think you have a lot of strap options here. So if you don't, I'm not a huge fan of the bracelet, I wouldn't worry about it too much. So pros and cons. Well, pros, I really like the overall design of this watch. Obviously, it's a little bit of an homage, but I like what they did. You have applied indices. They did a really good job with the Arabic numerals 3, 6, and 9. I love that they used a domed crystal. It's just a very fun package overall. Second pro for it is it does use Indiglo. Now, Timex, a lot of times in these lower end watches, they do use lume, but they don't use very good lume. If you are not going to use good lume, I don't think it should be on the watch at all, in my opinion. And Timex went with Indiglo here, which is a perfect alternative. It's their technology and it works amazing. It's basically on-demand light to be able to read the watch. It's always ready to go at the push of a button. And while it might not be as cool as lume, it is very reliable and very practical. Third pro for this watch is I think it is an absolute strap monster. You can see it looked very cool on that single pass NATO. And with a 20 millimeter lug width, you're going to have an endless supply of options to customize this watch with. I think it would look good on leather. I think it would look good on a NATO. The bracelet it comes with is fine. You just have a lot of options to customize this watch. So the con, the only con is for me, it's a bit personal, but 42 millimeters is a bit bigger than I would like. I would love if this watch was 39 millimeters. That being said, 42 is going to work on almost any wrist. So, and you saw on the wrist shot, it does work on my 6 3/4 inch wrist. I'm just a little bit more into 39 millimeters, but of course that's personal taste. You should wear whatever pleases you. So is this watch worth the money? Yes, I think if you could find one, they are no longer in production as far as I know, but I know my friend did obtain this on eBay quite recently, and I think it was very reasonably priced. I want to say around $50. So if you can find one for about that price and you are looking for an everyday quartz and you like the 42 millimeter size and you like the design of this watch, I think it's a no-brainer. And like I said before, I think with that 20 millimeter lug width, this thing is going to be a strap monster. So there you have it. Let me know what you think about this Timex in the comments below. As always, if you're enjoying the content of this channel, I invite you to subscribe. And if you like the content of this individual video, please give it a thumbs up. This is Jason, and you have been watching Just Watches. I will see you all next time.